rich, not the poor. Stop the war in CUNY. Tax the rich, not the poor. Stop the war in CUNY.
I'm so thrilled to see you, and I'm going to turn it over to our MCs today. It's so great you're out. We're going to hear from a few very distinguished and fiery people, and including our students and faculty, staff, elected representatives. Brooklyn demands the New Deal for CUNY. We can't wait. Investment in CUNY can't wait. The way out of this crisis is not austerity. It's not a continuation of racist austerity. It's new investment, new anti-racist investment, new investment in CUNY. Yes. So, our MCs for today are Giovanni Piquant of the and Sarah Flores from the New York State Legislature. We're so thrilled to have you both. Good evening, everyone. Are we fired up? Are we ready to go? Are we energized? Are we going to get a new deal for CUNY? Thank you so much for rallying alongside with us on Saturday. My name is Giovanni Piquant. I serve as the first ever Haitian American chairwoman of University Student Senate, and we are so proud to see all of you here today. But we stand before you today because we know we need to fight for justice. This is about justice. This is about educational justice, environmental justice, housing justice, food justice. This is about justice for everyday New Yorkers serving and going to the City University of New York. And we are rallied here today. We are rallied here today because we understand that change needs to be met with organizing. It needs to be met by strategizing. We must be out here mobilizing for the working class individuals at the City University of New York. And we know we are in a tough budget cycle. We know right now the governor has never been a friend of CUNY.
That's right.
We see that he's getting bad press right now, but he's never been a friend of CUNY.
That's right.
And it's up to us to set the tone and for us to understand if we are going to get true justice, true funding for CUNY. The New Deal for CUNY is the most progressive piece of legislation that has ever entered the New York State Legislature, advocating for working class individuals. This piece of legislation is going back to what CUNY should and has to be, a free and fully funded CUNY for all. A free and fully funded CUNY regardless of your zip code, regardless of your race, regardless of your gender or socioeconomic status. Everybody deserves a right to pursue their higher education degree at the City University of New York. And it is up to us, the people. It is up to us, the people, to rally and fight for what we deserve and what we demand. And we are demanding a new deal for CUNY. This budget cycle will not be easy. We will have to fight. Education is not the only thing that we need, but we will get it done when we organize and we strategize.
That's right.
And we are saying no to any tuition hikes. We're saying no to any cuts to support services. We're saying no to laying off our adjuncts. We demand a new deal for CUNY, not later, not in 10 years. We are demanding it right now. And it is up to the supermajority. It is up to Speaker Carl Hinckley, Senate Majority Leader Andrea Stewart-Cousins, and Governor Cuomo, if he is still governor at this end of the budget cycle, for us to get it done. So I stand before you here today. This is not easy. It isn't the call, but we are going to fight for our university. We are going to put an end to tuition hikes, and we're going to make access and opportunity to working class individuals. So New Deal for CUNY on board. We want a new deal for CUNY. 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 Thank you so much, everyone.
You laid the foundation. Yeah, when you heard them, you heard their concerns, and that's why you
fund this university.
That's right.
Just push the button.
That's right.
Good afternoon, everyone. just brought the fire. I hope I can just fan the flames, girl. That's what I got to do. All right, my name is Farrah Sufar, Assemblywoman for a District 57, the finest district in Brooklyn. Home to Medgar Evers College. And I am, first of all, I want to say that if it wasn't for CUNY, I would not be here today. That's right. As a two-time graduate, all right, two-time graduate of CUNY, I know that when we talk about the New Deal for CUNY, we are talking about investment in the most prized possession of New York, which is New York City students. Period. When we look at who comes to CUNY and comes out of CUNY, one piece of person come out cold because you know sometimes we struggle. But we see that it is opportunities. Each and every one of those people are opportunities. And they stay in the city and they make our city better. So this is the time for our governor, our leadership, Carl Hasty and Andrea Stewart Cousins, and the majorities of both houses to take this as a priority, to take New Yorkers as a priority. That's right. That was your bet on Republic. Priority.
Yeah.
Make sure that we make it out of not only this pandemic, but we come out better and bolder than before. This piece of legislation says that CUNY is not going to be affordable. CUNY is not going to be free for some, free and costly for others. We're talking about a CUNY that is free for all. $0 tuition. Alright? And so, I don't want to hog up the microphone. I want to spread it to some other love, to other people to spread some love.
Hi, Barclays.
Let's do a chant while we're waiting.
Sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
Who's CUNY? Our CUNY. Who's CUNY? Our CUNY. Who's CUNY?
Our CUNY!
Who's CUNY?
Our CUNY!
Who's CUNY?
Our CUNY!
Who's CUNY?
Our CUNY!
Whose streets?
Our streets!
Whose streets?
Our streets!
Whose city?
Our city!
Whose city?
Our city!
Who's CUNY?
Our CUNY!
Who's CUNY?
Our CUNY!
Good. I think we're ready for the number.
So now we're going to invite our comptroller, Dr.
Thank you. Hello, CUNY.
Hello!
CUNY graduate right here. Grew up in Washington Heights, and I remember the last time we had a fiscal crisis and the powers that be thought that it was smart that students of that generation should pay the freight. And we know what happened during that time. The kids who were struggling, the kids who believed that New York was aspirational, were the ones who got shut down. We cannot let that happen again. And I'm telling you, as controller who deals with the numbers, this recovery in New York City cannot happen unless we have a new deal for CUNY, plain and simple. Because this is about dollars and cents. But we have to come to the reality that in this pandemic, Wall Street made $38 billion during the pandemic. $38 billion. The people who suffered were the students, the parents, the advocates, the frontline workers, the people who every day went out to protect the rest of the city. We cannot open this economy the same way we closed it. And right now in Albany, there's a package of bills that say to the wealthiest people, you too can be heroes. It's time to pay up. It's time to do the right thing. Fair is fair, justice is justice. But I will tell you that if we're going to rebound, the CUNY network, the professors, the students, the diversity, this is what New York City is all about. So I'm happy to be here today to support you, And if I have anything to do with opening up this town again, just saying, we're going to do it with CUNY. Thank you very much.
Up next, we're going to call Hercules Reed from Strategy for Barclays to give some remarks.
CUNY United will never be defeated. 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 Thank you, thank you, thank you. I have to make sure you guys warmed up a little bit. It's a little bit cold, but that doesn't mean that we don't need what we deserve, and that is justice. So we're out here today, I'm out here today, and you all, but I'm out here representing Strategies for Black Lives. Strategy for Black Lives was an organization founded out of the movement of George Floyd being killed, murdered by cops. And the truth is, we said we needed to start fighting for justice. For too long, we've sat on the wayside and allowed things to go by and say nothing and do nothing. But the truth is also, Strategy for Black Lives is actually a bunch of CUNY former students and current students. And we are proud to have that banner where we know where we came from. We haven't forgotten that if it were not for the University of the City University of New York, we would not be the educated black and brown brothers and sisters that we are today. And while we fight for criminal justice and housing justice and food justice, we must continue this fight for educational justice. And while it is campaign season, we must hold our elected officials accountable and those looking to represent us.
That's right.
For too long, we have wiped them off with making the City University of New York at the lowest of their priority list.
That's right.
I challenge all of you to go onto somebody's website today that's running for office and see if they mention CUNY.
That's right.
I challenge you to check on your candidates that you're supporting and see if they have any policy for CUNY. Because the reality is it's not sexy.
It ain't.
But we're here today to tell them that it's the most sexiest thing that you can do for New York City is to invest in CUNY. With that being said, I don't want to take up too much time. We're here to really truly be in solidarity. I'm calling out also the alumni. I'm a proud alumni of City Tech, New York City College of Technology. We're all having an opportunity to get an affordable education and study architecture. This beautiful city that we appreciate every day. It was CUNY that gave me that opportunity. And CUNY that's continuing to give people opportunities. And we're here to fight to make sure that that door does not close for the future of our city. Thank you.
Hello, I got it. Yeah. Is that working? Okay. Hi, I'm Assembly Member Joanne Simon, and I represent the 52nd Assembly District, which is that side of Flatbush Avenue.
That's right.
Within which jurisdiction is City Tech. So we're going to be marching to City Tech, which is in my district, and I am a big fan of City Tech. All of you at City Tech, I know I've seen you there before. It's a great school. It's one of my favorite schools. I want to just say I've been in the Assembly for 7 years. This is my 7th budget. Every single year we go through this. Every single year we battle about tuition. Every single year the governor doesn't want to fund CUNY. Every single year we are worried about our adjuncts, and we're losing more adjuncts, or we're paying them less money and making them teach more courses. Every single year we have this battle, and I'm very tired of having this battle. because this is a battle fought on the backs of the students and on the backs of the faculty. And this cannot continue. Last year when I voted against the budget, I voted against the budget because it was an austerity budget. And it needs to be an investment budget. It needs to be a budget that invests in our people and in our schools and in our institutions. And the budget didn't. And this year we are faced again with an austerity budget. The Assembly's One House bill will be good to a lot of people. And we will love that, the Assembly One House bill. But we will, the Assembly One House bill is a One House bill. And then we'll have to work with the Senate and the governor. And that's going to be the sort of part of the usual battle, and maybe a little different this year because of COVID, because we all know about the systemic inequities that we have seen that have been laid bare by COVID. And we all know, and I believe the governor knows, that we have to raise revenue. We have to raise revenue. We need a new deal for CUNY. We need a new deal, period. But we sure need a new deal for CUNY. You can count on my support. Thank you.
Austerity has got to go. Hey, hey.
Ho, ho! Austerity has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! Austerity has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! Austerity has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! Austerity has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! Austerity has got to go!
Next speaker.
All right, good afternoon. I'm New York City Council Member Brad Lander, and I'm so proud to be out here to fight for a new deal for CUNY. Look, we know that CUNY is the future of New York City, that investing in our CUNY schools is the best possible way to make sure that we have a vibrant, diverse, inclusive, creative, smart, economically vibrant future, and starving CUNY is starving the future of New York City, so we're not going to let it happen. First, of course, in Albany, we need to make sure they hear us loud and clear. This cannot be the year of an austerity budget. The richest Americans have made billions of dollars during this crisis. Amazon is worth $5 billion more than it was at the start of the pandemic. Fast food corporations are worth collectively $40 billion more than they were worth at the start of the pandemic. So we're not going to cut CUNY. We need to increase the funding that goes to CUNY. And that means that Amazon and fast food corporations and millionaires and billionaires have to pay their fair share so we can invest in a new deal for CUNY. I want to tell you, it's not only up at the state level, because New York City also needs to invest in CUNY. And just a couple of weeks ago, the city council got the budget that Mayor de Blasio is proposing, and it sure does not propose a new deal for CUNY. Because I'll tell you this, it cuts funding for CUNY from New York City by $45 million. That's crazy. But the mayor is not proposing to cut everything. He is proposing to cut youth services and arts programs and funding for CUNY and sanitation. You want to know what he's not proposing to cut? The NYPD. Mayor de Blasio is proposing, I'm not kidding, to give $200 million more to the NYPD this year while cutting funding for CUNY by $45 million. Is that right? That ain't right. So I'm not going to vote for a budget that doesn't increase funding for CUNY. And if that means we got to cut the NYPD, then that's what we got to do, because we have to invest in the future of our city.
That's right.
One more idea that a lot of you are fighting for. In a lot of places around the country where they're fortunate to have private universities, those private universities either pay their fair share in real estate taxes or make payments in lieu of taxes to fund their public schools and public universities. But unfortunately, we don't have that right now in New York City. So Columbia University doesn't pay real estate taxes. NYU doesn't pay real estate taxes. New York City gives up about $500 million a year, $500 million that we could be using to invest in things, because we don't get real estate taxes from our private higher ed institutions or some other nonprofits. So I have a little quiz, because I want you to guess
out of the top 10 institutions in the whole United States that do the best at achieving upward social mobility, helping people have a chance to rise up out of poverty into the middle class, upward social mobility. How many of the top 10 institutions in the whole country are CUNY schools for being top 10 in upward social mobility? 8 is close.
5.
6 of the top 10 most upward social mobility schools, CUNY. Anyone want to guess what number on the list is what you is? If you guessed 1,303rd, you would be right. How about Columbia? 1,363rd. So all I'm saying is they could pay some payment in lieu of taxes, pay a little of their fair share, so we can invest in a new deal for CUNY, because in Albany, in New York City, at City Hall, and across the city, it's on all of us to win a new deal for CUNY. We're going to fight for it this year. Are you with me? All right, it's great to be with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you! Woo! Any other legislation? I don't see it. What do we want? Free CUNY. When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Free CUNY!
When do we want it?
Now! Shut it down! Shut it down!
Shut it down! So up next we have New York State Senator Adjunct, a sponsor, the one who wrote. New York State Senator Adjunct was the one who wrote the new deal for CUNY. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be able to have this bill in the New York State Legislature alongside Assembly Member Karina Reyes. I would like now to introduce New York State Senator Adjunct.
Hello, hello, hello. Is CUNY in the house here? Is CUNY in the house here? All right. I'm State Senator Andrew Gennardis. I am a proud graduate of the City University of New York at Hunter College. My parents met at the Greek Club in Brooklyn College many years ago. I would not be who I am or where I am today were it not for this incredible institution, the City University of New York, CUNY. And we know and we've seen for far too long, the public has divested from this most critical and crucial public institution, our City University system. Over the last decade, we have seen the share of public dollars to support this college, this university system, dwindle year after year after year. We have seen cuts on top of cuts on top of cuts. We have heard stories of students who have to wait outside a building to get in line to get into a single elevator. We have heard about students and teachers not being able to sit in classrooms with working heat. We have heard from students who can't even get an appointment with a counselor on campus because the ratio of students to counselors in the CUNY system is more than twice the national average. And then still, we see cuts and cuts and cuts. Last year, the governor, 5% cut. This year, the governor, another 5% cut. Enough's enough. When are we going to stop cutting our university system and start spending for our university system? That is why we are here to say CUNY needs a new deal. Because when we invest in people, we create opportunities for people. When we invest in CUNY, we create opportunities for the entire city.
That's
When
right.
we invest in our young people, their future becomes limitless. That's what the New Deal is all about. And this is not a radical concept, because we've done this before. We've done this before.
Yes.
When we had our first New Deal, we invested in people. We built Brooklyn College. We gave people jobs. We put people to work. And we unleashed tremendous prosperity. At a time of crisis like this, we have to learn the lessons from our past and do the same thing, but for the 21st century. And that means investing in a CUNY system that works for everybody.
That's right. We're done, right?
So I just want to give a big thank you to everyone who's rallied here with us